Lost in the brambles of the Hudson family's farm, a piece of Jennyopolis' history. The land that was Jennyopolis is nothing more than wheat fields and farms just south of Corvallis.
It did have a flouring mill, it had the post office and a mercantile. There was roughly about 50 people at its founding.
That's Jolene Thompson, vice chair of the Albany Landmarks Commission, who also calls herself,
I always say, armchair historian.
Jennyopolis was a small town founded by Richard Irwin, who came from Ohio to set up a store.
It was short in its time, but very impactful in its existence, especially as far as a lot of the dramatic things that happened in Jennyopolis.
Westward expansion drove thousands here to the Oregon Territory in the mid-1800s, including right here in what was Jennyopolis. One of the men that wanted his 320-acre land claim and another 320 for his wife was a man named Nimrod O'Kelly.
Nimrod O'Kelly comes along. He has been planning this basically all his life.
O'Kelly came to Oregon in 1846 at the age of 65 and settled in Jennyopolis. Under the Organic Act passed in 1843, O'Kelly staked his claim of the 640 acres he thought he was entitled to. As more settlers moved to the area and staked their claims, 3 sides of O'Kelly's land were being encroached upon. One of those settlers is Jeremiah Mahoney. It was on May 22, 1852, that O'Kelly's frustration with Mahoney came to a boiling point.
Jeremiah Mahoney was on Nimrod O'Kelly's property. Nimrod approaches him. He has a rifle in his hand.
Nimrod O'Kelly claims Jeremiah Mahoney threatened him with a thresher tool, and that's when Nimrod shot and killed him.
Nimrod O'Kelly, after shooting Jeremiah Mahoney, immediately walked himself to Marysville, which is now Corvallis, to turn himself in for what happened.
This is Nimrod O'Kelly's confession, where he writes about Mahoney saying, "He continued coming towards me, saying if I did not mind, I would get it thrashed out over my head." Continuing on, Nimrod says, "Before getting near enough to me to get a hold of the gun went off in my hands, hitting him." This begins the years-long ordeal of O'Kelly's fate. Jennyopolis founder Richard Irwin ordered an inquest, and a group of neighbors ultimately determined that O'Kelly should be held accountable. He was tried and sentenced to death by hanging.
But there are many people also working on Nimrod O'Kelly's behalf.
Over the next 2 years, his death sentence would get postponed by one governor, upheld by the Territorial Supreme Court, and ultimately commuted to 2 years of hard labor by another governor. O'Kelly is to be transferred to the state penitentiary in Portland to serve that labor sentence.
The sheriff and a deputy type person came to get Nimrod O'Kelly, who willingly went along and was glad to do so.
The 3 men made the trek by wagon from Jennyopolis to Portland, but stopped around the Oregon City area.
Someone ingested too much alcohol, became drunk, was not able to move along, and ultimately this led to Nimrod O'Kelly moving along without them.
O'Kelly, determined to get his sentence of hard labor over and done with, started walking to Portland by himself.
Nimrod O'Kelly comes to the front door of the penitentiary and says, I'm here, let's get this over with. And the folks at the penitentiary are looking at him thinking, what on earth are we going to do with this man? And they actually ask him, can he come back?
O'Kelly was booked into the penitentiary in May of 1855 and would only serve 10 months of his sentence before being pardoned by a governor in March of 1856, putting an end to the first reported murder in Oregon's history. O'Kelly would die in 1864, and during this entire ordeal, his land claim would not get settled until 1881, 17 years after his death. And back on the farm,
I haven't seen it in 20 years.
The grave marker for the Irwins, Jennyopolis' founding family.